ours. Red teaming is used in Israel to pre-qualify people. Screeners don't get to be screeners unless they survive a number of red team inspections. You know, if Ari over here keeps letting bombs and guns and knives through, after a point, it's kind of a good idea to say, you know, Ari, I guess you're just not cut out for this. We don't really want you here. We're not doing that. So there are a whole bunch of things that we could do better, and we could start by just saving a lot of dough, as far as I'm concerned.
I have a comment.
I'd like to make. Thank you. I would like you to comment, please.
You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if it is broke, tell us. The biggest security enhancement we have since 9/11 is people in the room. Like one of the ladies mentioned over here, it's the traveling public. They're aware. You know, when you talk about profiling, if I'm on the plane and I got my little granddaughter with me, I'm not worrying about being sued for profiling. I'm going to react if I see something, if I'm a traveler. Not because I'm a special agent, because I love my little granddaughter and I'm on a plane. So the first thing is, you've got to admit to the American public when it's broken. Let me give you some frightening statistics. They're out there, but you're probably not aware of it. In 2007, the GAO tested at airports across the country, tested at 19 airports, and it tested the effectiveness of screeners to identify IEDs, improvised explosive devices, broken down into their separate components. How effective were the screeners at being able to identify that? Out of 19 airports failed. Were you aware of that?
No.
Any of you?
No.
You should be. That was in a GAO report, and that tells you how ineffective the system is. Now, I'm not trying to scare you, but when you get on a plane, right now, if you drove from Massachusetts to California, you got more of a chance of being in an automobile accident than you do being taken down by a terrorist flying from Boston to LA. So it's still a safer bet. 30,000 feet kind of gets in your head, but it's still a safer bet. But if you get on that plane and you know in 2007 that the screeners failed at 19 out of 19 airports to identify improvised explosive devices getting on aircraft, might you be a little bit more alert? Who stopped the Christmas bomber? Who stopped the underwear bomber? Y'all did. The people who were traveling on the plane. So when we say how effective has this film been, if you watch this film and you're uncomfortable and you get on your next flight, we've been very effective. Because you're like the armored cab in the military. You're our eyes and ears. You're on the planes and we're protecting ourselves. Now, how much has the federal government and all the money we've spent helped the system? They didn't stop anyone.
Zero.
You have.
To underscore what Brian was saying, also keep in mind what Bogdan and Steve Elson spoke to in terms of pre-9/11, which was the same dismal failure rate in terms of the screeners being able to actually detect and catch those items going through. So that was 1996, 1997 time frame, and here we are, 2010. I mean, you'd think at some point they'd be able to get it right. And one other point I'd want to bring up is we all, as travelers, often focus our attention on those folks that are at the screening checkpoints. And we tend to look at them and say, that's the failure right there, those people. And keep in mind that, you know, the troops are only as good as how well they're led and how well they're trained. And that's the big problem. They're essentially doing the job that they're told to do in the way that they're told to do it. And that's it. They're not given the latitude to kind of look beyond the protocol limits that they're trained on. And so you kind of, you get what you build, and we've built a broken machine right from the get-go. So the next time you're going through those screening checkpoints, don't look at those screeners and kind of take your anger out on them, because that's the wrong place. Because they think, would you want that job? I mean, you know, you have a much greater chance of getting struck by lightning than actually being in an incident. So that's the frequency of stuff that's actually going through that is going to be a problem. So you're essentially looking for a fraction of a needle in a massive haystack. So your eyes are going to glaze over, and you're getting a minimal salary, and you have very limited chance for opportunity and advancement. So we're not exactly getting the best people to man that frontline position. So.
No, I just wanted to say, to go to Brian's point about the fact that, I think more than one person has said it, that all of the recent terrorist attempts have been thwarted by ordinary citizens. That includes the Times Square bomber, who was noticed by, apparently by a street vendor. And a lot of the focus that goes on in TSA is to keep items off planes that were dangerous up until 9/11, like knives, box cutters, things like that. One of our guys, Steve Elson, said he doesn't care if somebody brings, a meat cleaver onto a plane. It's no longer possible to hijack a plane with that kind of weapon. And a lot of the focus that goes on at the checkpoint is to keep things off the plane that literally do no longer pose any threat.